You want to talk can of worms? I'm about to open a case. Because I do feel that it's fair, if I'm going to be talking about things that I technically have to classify as UPG, to be upfront about it. First of all, I am not an academic. That's the reason why I am not a certified counselor right now. Whole issue with accessibility reasons, yada, yada, yada. So keep in mind, I'm not an academic. I do the best I can with digital ebooks and a braille display. And if pushed, if I really want to know a book, I will sit with the physical book with my phone using a little scanner app that reads it to me, but I have to really want that book. Now, to start off, I do acknowledge that I am very spirit-led. That does not mean that spirit does not lead me to the academic resources. Quite to the contrary. And like you, I do believe that the gods exist on different realms. Not here, this is Midgard, on different realms. However, as a spiritualist that also does work with spirit communication and divine communication, I can tell you that the messages that you get are very filtered through the human brain, which means, there's likely to be mistakes based on biases and misunderstanding, your own agenda if you have one, which I think is a lot of what the mythology suffers from, is just human misinterpretation, especially when you factor in things such as politics, power. So I do believe that the myths are always up to investigation and scrutiny. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of what y'all are talking about is already kind of covering the academics that I do have down. So I fear that a lot of what I have to add to the conversation will strictly have to come from a practicing spiritualist, a practicing vulva. I'll give you an example. Long before I even knew that Tyr was the original chief, any time that I read the tale of creation, you know that feeling you get when you know somebody's lying to your face, but you can't prove it? That's the feeling that I get when I hear Odin with Villian Vey. Now, like you said, it is believed that Tyr might have been chieftain before Odin stepped in. If history and current circumstances has taught us anything, we know that politics have a fun way of coloring mythos. And while you have certain gods and goddesses that don't show up everywhere, like Loki not showing up in the Icelandic, Loki did have a certain Danish king that was a big fan. He shows up in other places. But literally, what did the Aesir do after the war? They married into and reproduced with the Vanir and even the Jotnar. It becomes a lot easier to intellectualize when you look at it as various groups of spirits and divinities that were put together, probably a lot by mankind, treaties and whatnot. But the reason that I call Odin the Great Conqueror is because what do conquerors do? They merge tribes, they wed, they have children. It's harder to go to war with your husband or wife or your children or grandchildren. And I mean, spiritually, you could make the argument that you could say Odin influenced mankind trying to lump it all together. But we already know from history that when you got a bunch of detached tribes trying to merge together, their myths merge together. Like I said, I'm not an academic. I'm primarily a spiritualist. Take it or leave it. I do know that the theory of Loki having elven origins would align really nicely with some of my UPG. But now I gotta hurry up and do my videos because now I got a whole bunch of reading I want to do. Thank you.